Other public comments? No other public comments. Item 6. Chairman announces a possible closed session. Item 7 is a motion to go into closed session. Consideration and possible action on a motion to convene into executive session under Wisconsin Stat 19.85 Pren 1 Pren E, deliberating or negotiating the purchase of public properties, investing in public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session, more specifically negotiations for an intergovernmental agreement with the Village of Big Bend for EMS and fire service, and under Wisconsin Stat 19.85 Pren 1 Pren C, considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of a public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction for exercise responsibility, specifically the interview for the appointed clerk treasurer position. Included in closed session are town board members, Vernon Fire Department officers, and town clerk. Motion will need a roll call vote. That closed session will be at the end of our meeting. Okay. We'll go to miscellaneous matters. The following matters will be discussed unless otherwise noted. Item A, an agreement to provide EMS/fire service to the Village of Big Bend. Please be advised, it is anticipated that the town chairman will allow trustee Joe Pelnick and trustee Kelly Rayner, as well as the Vernon Fire Chiefs Alex Feldy and Patrick Hayes, to make comments and answer any questions presented by the town board. Are Joe and Kelly here?
Yep, present.
Would you like to come up to the microphone there?
Sure. No, thanks.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening, Chairman.
Board. I just want to welcome you. I will do some introductions here. Item. Supervisor number 4 is Bill Craig, longtime realtor. Bill, you want to tell a little bit about yourself or whatever? Can you say any more than that or no? Or
that's pretty much it. I've been involved with the community for about 40 years.
Okay. Supervisor number 3, Ed Moline. This is his second term on the board. He's a double Bronze Star from Vietnam. He helped with the fire department getting all of the things together for the split. He's very valuable here on the board. Eddie's not afraid to tell it like it is. We have Gary Wildey, who is a service veteran also. He's been on the board. This is his second term, but he's actually been on a few years before, and then he was off, and now he re-upped for some more pain.
Repeat offender.
Yes. We have Mr. Milley, supervisor number 1. He's been on the board since 2010. 2010, yeah. And his father and him and his brother own Edgewood Golf Course, and that takes up a lot of his time. And I myself, Thomas Bird, retired superintendent / carpenter / do whatever. Been on the board since 2009. Been on the committee since 7. So we've got a lot of experience up there. So those are the introductions. You fellas want to introduce yourself so we know who we're talking to?
Sure, my name is Kelly Renner. I'm actually just recently elected to the Village of Big Bend board, just this last April. Built a house inside of the Lake Park subdivision right behind the post office. My first experience around politics and public office. My day job is I'm actually an independent software consultant, so I work with ERP packages for businesses. So
Myself, Joe Kellenick. I was just reelected for a third time. My wife and I built our house, about 10 years now in the village. I was actually involved with the fire department for several years. Recently stepped away from that. I also have a young family. Softball, baseball, soccer, all of that stuff comes into play as well. Been involved with community, grew up in New Berlin, been in the area. Just looking obviously to give back to my community, and some public service and public office was a route that I was passionate with and decided to pursue.
All right. What we're here for tonight is to start the discussion. We have sent you a contract or a proposal, let's put it that way, a proposal. And we have some changes that you would like to see in here. And we haven't had a closed session to talk about your changes, but I thought it would be a nice thing to get a meet and greet and try to get our heads around why and the changes that you want, why you want them. Okay? And that's basically what I wanted it for. And if the gentleman would want to ask. And I also asked, we have some agenda items for a chief. First, raise your hand, Alex. That's our chief. And the other one is the first assistant chief, Pat Hayes. Alex Felding and Pat Hayes. So if there's questions about the fire department, I thought it'd be advantageous for you to meet them, and you can get it right from the horse's mouth, right from there. So, well, the first thing I want to bring up is to the gentleman here, because I heard some comments about it, was that email we got from your clerk. And that email did not come from their finance committee. That email came from so you guys want to explain that a little bit, or somebody want to explain that?
Nothing, I guess, really more to say other than it's been rescinded. There wasn't a formal request for it, so we rescinded it. I should say our clerk did, and there are some questions that we'll probably cover from it that I'll ask, but for the most part some of it wasn't. We didn't think it was pertinent, and therefore, and like I said, ultimately it did come from us.
Okay. I don't have any questions on it. I've seen it. It is what it is. We know that there's, issues, so we need to move on from that. I wasn't too upset about it. So this here is bigger than that email by far, as far as I'm concerned.
Agreed.
So, the first thing, it says, terms of agreement, the initial term of the agreement shall be, we had 3 years, you have that as 15 years.
Yep.
Okay. Why do you want 15 years?
We want something that we don't have to revisit over and over and over. We're looking for more of a long-term commitment. Also, let's be honest, let's look at the history of things. There's a lot of there's a lot of prior issues between certain individuals of both communities. We want to put that behind us. We want a long term. We want, contract form 2 is going to put it in your hands. There isn't going to be meddling. There isn't going to be
it's not a joint board like it previously was,
Yeah.
where you had the two teamed up. Something like this is, you're providing a service. It's a
Yes.
contract. It's a contract to render those services. The 15 years we had talked about, it just provides stability, long-term stability, so that, as Joe said, you don't have to be revisiting this thing every 3 years.
Okay. Gentlemen, you want to ask some questions on it? Yes?
Well, my concern is, being new and getting into this, if it's not working out, 15 years can be a long time. That's the initial term shorter, and then maybe after that, if things are going well and you got the numbers figured out, then extend it to a longer period of time. I'd be in favor of that, but initially, there's so many unknowns to go that long into it, I think.
Okay. Because we looked at that, we discussed that as well. There is a termination area, which obviously we don't want to, go through, but, there is something in there that, as far as a 6-month notice and going that route. So you could get out, either side could, but we were just looking for more of a long term.
Ed?
We just looked at it as a shakedown period. I don't think it's a big issue to go somewhere between. 15, maybe a little long, because
Okay.
the number of boards are going to take changes over that time. Something in between there may be more logical for both parties. Shakedown, you're right, it could be canceled by either group at any point in time. I don't see that happening once it's established, because it'd take a Herculean task to put it back together. And we're not looking to put anybody in that, I'm not, this board's not looking to put anybody in that situation. We're putting a contract for them, so it is an agreement, a contractual agreement. If there's language that needs to be changed for that, we should discuss it. But other than that, I'd like to see that shrink from 15. I can live with 15 if it needs to be, personally. But I think compromise is part of this agreement. I'd like to see a little give and take.
Sure.
Okay? That's all I have to say on that.
Well, let me ask the board this. Just like my question to you guys.
Yeah.
Does anybody see that number solid at 3 and can't be negotiated?
No.
Oh, okay. So we got to talk about that.
Okay.
Okay. Because I'm the same way. I don't think that that's an impasse.
No.
Good. Good. So then we had charges. We had changes on the charges. We had $122,000. During the initial term for renewal term, the fee shall annually be increased for each annual anniversary date over the fee, yada, 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 yada. Increase amount for every year shall be, and then what's crossed out is the greater of the following, 1% and or 2% increase shown at the United States Bureau of Labor Statistics. Okay, so you guys, meaning the village, you want to explain that? What?
I think the one thing related to the index, there just wasn't any comfort as far as history on that one. So people were, if we could just negotiate a static amount so that we know it's always going to be X, whether it's 1% or 2%, whatever it would be, as opposed to this floating index that nobody can tell the future on that, especially in a situation, let's say this is 10 or 15 year commitment, who knows where that index will be in 10 years. Look back 10 years at certain indexes, and they're usually quite different than they are today. So that was why that has to be struck, was that piece of it, just that level of risk for a long-term commitment. And then as far as the 3%, again, it was just trying to contain costs year over year, because it's, once you lock in, that's your cost, so.
And once we do go out that 15, if we were to go out that 15 years, by striking the index out, remove some of that possible variable. As far as entering into a contract, it would be nice then when budget comes around, we know exactly this is what we got to put in.
Okay.
Instead of the floating scale of that possible index.
I kick it around. Be happy.
Yeah,
There was a lot of discussion here,
See,
on that.
like I said, I wanna get what you guys were thinking.
Sure.
So, and I want them to hear
Yeah.
what you were thinking as that, so I think that's a good thing. Town of Vernon shall deduct EMS and fire charges for bill.
Can I go back a second?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Little explanation on why we arrived at those numbers. Obviously, 122,000 is a very generous, trust me, number for fire service, for the equipment, and personnel, and everything we provide. Every year, we have increased costs, obviously. We took a look at that and said, where do we need to be to make sure we're not going broke on our own in the fire department? And we said, okay, let's look at shared cost here on increases, and we feel with the equipment replacement and everything else, the numbers we crunched, that we came up with the flat 3%. And then somebody said, why don't we look at the cost of living? That really reflects a more accurate cost increase or decrease, whatever it may be. And then we said, well, decrease, we gotta be careful. That's why the wording was put in there, no less than. Because if it were to decrease, you know, we can have a recession, all of a sudden, we're paying more but getting less, and we're struggling to meet our budget. We know you folks have some financial issue you're trying to deal with, and we're trying to help out with the cost of it. We don't want to lose money on the deal. We're not looking to make a profit on it, but we also don't want to lose on what it's costing us to keep the equipment, the extra personnel. Equipment is very expensive, as you know nowadays. So these numbers were crunched several times very hard, and I think they're very, very realistic. So whereas we may be able to debate some of it, I don't think there's a lot of room on that, because it's real costs that we're trying to look at. It's not to say anything's locked in stone here, but take that back with you if you would, and take a look at that and see if it doesn't make some sense to you. Extrapolate and see where it goes. I don't think you're going to see that.
Then you have an item B here, the town of Vernon shall deduct all EMS or fire charges for services billed to patients and/or residents for calls within the village of Big Bend, for the village's annual contact fee. Now, we talked about this, and I shouldn't say we went round and round, and this is what we came up with to get that, because we don't know what that EMS charge is going to be. We don't know what type of revenue that is going to be. Now, I sent, when that email came from your clerk, okay, I looked at it and I said, oh, okay, this is just what I would like to see from yous. And you and I, Kelly, we talked about that. Because to get we would feel more comfortable if we could see the numbers of revenue, what you get from, you know, a yearly call, and we could do it better. Without seeing that, we don't know. We're like shooting in the dark. We don't know if we're high, we don't know if we're low. We just don't know, because we don't have all of the numbers for a piece of the pie.
I think that we, we're talking, and the discussion came up that you're locked in at the 122. Whether we have one call and and it generates 1,500, or if it's 100 calls, we're still locked in at that 122. The idea came up that, well, if we have a contract and then we're paying, basically our residents are paying over and above that, it's almost like we're paying twice for it, is where the discussion went.
Well, our fees that we charge are what we charge our people.
Oh, I know.
You know,
yeah. We're aware
not
of that.
Exorbitant. It's basically, we look at that every year. It's a living document, that fee schedule for the fire department. We go over that with our EMS billing people. We go over that with our chiefs, and that's what we feel we need to get out of a rescue squad call.
Yeah.
Now, with that being said, we need to talk about that as a board, but it sure would help to get the numbers so we could know what we're gonna be getting, so we're not just in the dark on it.
Yeah, and we
Yeah,
can,
you
we can have
understand
that, yeah,
that?
we can have that. provided.
Yeah, and then,
Absolutely.
then we could maybe feel more comfortable.
Yeah.
And that, Eddie hit the nail right on the head. We don't wanna get in a position like, okay, they're getting fire service and paramedic service, and we're having to charge our people more, and our taxes are going up, and then we wanna make it equitable, we wanna make it fair.
Good business sense for both parties.
Exactly. A fair rate, and you get a good product, that's what we're looking for.
What would happen, say there was a lot of calls and the total value of calls was 150,000, we're at 122,000 contract, are you saying we'd owe you $28,000?
No, I'd just say at that point, then we would have to say anything that exceeds the 122, that it would remain,
Could never go to that point. It
Yeah.
could break even and that's it.
yeah, they would still remain in Vernon's hands.
Now we gotta talk about that.
Yeah. Well, remember what we based, the 122 was kind of based on, what do we have for equipment, what do we have for equipment repairs, costs, and things like that. That's a yearly, and we try to do a divide between us. So, your portion of it, trust me, if you buy a new fire engine, get a new fire truck, you're looking at somewhere north of $500,000. Repairs on it, probably know from your billing what it costs to repair all this stuff. That stuff gets extreme, and it's really unknown. Things break down when you don't expect them most, okay? So the 122 we put together was a base number that said, this is what we need to charge for the department. Now let's talk about what we need to charge for calls, and how do we make that fair? Use the same exact pay scale that we, our charge scale that we did for ourselves. Don't make it any different. You're not considered an outside entity, which would pay more. You're considered part of us. And so, in that regard, we try to make those just as absolutely even and as low as possible, to be honest with you. Okay. I don't think we can start deducting from the 122, because that says next time it breaks down, it's all our bill.
But I think
Kind of get clean.
this is good, the conversation start
I wanted
on
to
this
see what
issue
came
with
up.
the insurance and with what we're gonna get paid for that or not get paid for that. This is good. We're thinking about it, we know where you're coming from, you know where we're coming from, we need to go back and talk, you guys need to go back and talk, so.
Yeah, even if you couldn't deduct all of it, if you got a peek at some of the expenses, the revenue side of things for the last couple of years, you get an idea of that,
Yeah.
what that would be for you, maybe that would help and provide some incentive for you to maybe lower the 122. Maybe if it's not 100% deduct whatever services are billed,
That's
could help reduce the yearly
exactly,
commitment
that's
too.
what we're thinking, maybe we could lower the
Your total
122.
package is
Yeah.
really key to look at this whole element. What's it cost
Yeah.
you per fire department? I think if you look at that, 122.
But I really, that one right there, when you first read it, it's like, oh wow, you know.
Yeah.
But
It's a big number.
I don't think that that's insurmountable, it's my own personal. I think we can get by that.
Everything's open for debate.
I really do, that's what I've said, and this is all talk, that's all this is all just conversation and talk.
Yeah, we expect you to come back, I've been shocked that you accept all the terms.
Yeah, fair enough.
Do you happen to have any particular information regarding how much it costs to run your fire department?
We have it budgeted for this year, I believe it's right around 146.
146?
That's what the number was.
Okay. What approximately are you paying this year? Do you know offhand?
What the current year to date is?
Right.
He's finance, not me.
Yeah, current year to date, I would have to grab that.
One of the other finance committee members is
Okay.
in attendance too.
I'm just curious, and not that I'm trying to put you on the spot or anything, I just want to know, about what's your estimation of how much it's costing you to run your fire department, in regard to both your general daily operation and in regard to the capital improvements, in regard to what's gonna cost you in the long run to upgrade, or if you are planning to upgrade or maintain your current equipment. You know, that probably would play a lot of factors into your decision.
Definitely.
And in our decision, you know.
Do your department, and then, I'm gonna just round it up to $150,000 because it's easier for me to get my head on that.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. Is that also included your maintenance in your vehicle costs, your buildings maintenance, all of that is in that for $150,000?
There's some things that are capital, right? CapEx. That
Yeah,
would be outside of that?
yeah. But for the most part, that's, yeah, I don't think we have discussions of new engine within the next 5 years, you know, stuff like that, but nothing concrete yet.
Okay.
I think one of the big issues on our side, and maybe you guys are looking at the same thing, coming back to the 122 and also the per call charge, is we've been writing off larger and larger amounts of non-payables every year. We've got an aging community. Medicare says I'll pay X number of dollars, period, and we're taking the hit. So our board is trying to look at both aspects of 122. Can we maintain everything we've got, and then can we cover a basic calls with the rate per call? I think that's where we were coming from initially. So you guys might be looking at the same. I'm pretty well acquainted with Big Bend over the years, a lot of, you know, aging couples, aging individuals, and we all know what happens to medical expenses and numbers of calls. So that kind of affects equipment and labor costs.
Sure. The overall cost or expense from you guys' perspective.
Right.
Get it?
Okay, then we had item E, the Village of Big Bend agrees to pay the town of Vernon amounts owed by the Village of Big Bend residents for unpaid or uncollected EMS services. The Village of Big Bend may collect such fees and charge for the Village of Big Bend property owners within 90 days of EMS. Well, the reason we put that in there because if we do an EMS call to a resident of another community, if they don't pay, we can't put them and take them on a payment and go after them for the money because they're not in our municipality. So that's why that was in there. So then you would pay us, and then you would be able to go after them and do that.
So as far as the clarification there, so we understand that you wouldn't be able to like put a levy on, do anything on their tax bill.
Right.
That's
You
understood.
can't. Right,
But you
that's-
could still do something to be a like state collection services.
Yeah, but why pay for that when you folks
Agreed.
have the opportunity to
Agreed.
show it?
That's, well, we were looking at cost savings there. If
Yeah.
you just pay us, then you could do that, and it would be, you wouldn't have to pay for the collection service.
Yeah.
And using your same argument though on the Medicare and that you only get a portion. So if we get then an entire, let's say, for round numbers, you go on an ambulance ride, it's $1,000. Medicare's gonna pay
250,
Yeah.
maybe 400,
Are we
something like
gonna be
that,
on the
depending
hook?
on what it is. If it's
Yeah.
ALS,
We have, does the
BLS.
village have to bridge that gap then?
Yeah, is the village then on the hook for
We don't.
the remainder?
We don't get that now, so we'll talk about it.
Yeah, so
That's
that was
what we're
good
talking
point.
about,
Well,
my
that's
risk on,
good
right?
point.
It's like, okay, that's out of our control, it's out of your control.
Good question, good
We don't
point.
want to have that burden of us.
No, that would be an unpaid issue where we can't collect it, you can't collect it, and we would expect you to up the ante on that.
No?
I don't want to speak for everybody, but
Accept assignment.
yeah.
Yeah.
we accept
So
it.
it's a write-off essentially for both
Yeah.
parties. That's how
We do that,
Either
yeah,
side.
we do that with our residents too.
Okay. Performance bond. Okay, the town of Vernon shall furnish the Village of Big Bend a performance bond for the sum of $2 million for the entire length of this agreement. Okay, what are your thoughts on that?
This was put in place in case of the agreement doesn't go forward, or is terminated, or after the 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, that we are left with nothing and trying to scramble, whether it's for an outside contract or starting a department again.
Well, usually, you know, we contacted our insurance company, and they thought that, you know, they never heard anything like that in contract, and I said, yeah, I know. And I said, but I can understand $2 million would be a healthy amount of money to start a department up again. You know, and I understand your reasoning behind that. But it's usually for, you know, it's a contract. If you're, you know, building a road, building a school, you bond it. Yeah, okay. We're gonna have to talk about that, guys.
Okay.
That's.
You understand the intention, right?
Yeah, well, it's to
And it's
pay for a
obviously built on
department.
history,
If
right?
we say forget it, it's to pay for apartments so you can re-up it again. That's your intention, right?
And that's-
Start up a department again.
Ultimately, it's to cover that, if that was to occur, it was to cover that base. Now, again, could there be some verbiage around it so that the way that the contract is terminated had to be specific to leverage the bond? Maybe that would be smarter, as far as minimizing that risk on your guys' perspective. Because how do you measure performance? How does that pay out in this situation? What is the failure or breach of contract? You'd almost have to look at what that was.
In business, whatever that cost gets passed on to the people who are buying the service.
Mm-hmm.
So ultimately, that 122 would go up. But if it goes up and if we back out, you get $2 million for X amount of dollars, that's good business too. I understand. So we got to talk about that, guys.
Is there another term besides performance? Because when I think of that, it's like, oh, so say, hey, you guys aren't responding quick enough to the calls.
That's what I mean. You have to put some verbiage around what that means. It's too vague right now. You have to put some specific verbiage around when that would kick in.
And
What
even,
event.
you could even put terms in it as far as, let's say there was a split that, we had to, solicit at least X amount of departments for another contract before we even get to that point where all of a sudden we're scrambling now that we have to start a department.
Okay.
Nobody wants to go through that.
No.
Really.
No.
Nobody wants to do that.
No.
Again.
Ultimately, it's just a parachute.
Aye.
Those look like the major sticking points.
Those were the points.
Those are the mountain
I think too, we've got in our, I was gonna bring that up in closed session, but in our intercept agreement with, look at for it here. There it is. We've got an item in there, and it's just like, I think I was more upset with that from your clerk going to our chiefs than what was in the email. That one kind of, set me on edge a little bit. Because what we don't want is our fire department having the politics back into it again.
Sure.
We don't want that at all. I don't want to see it. Because that, to me, that's what ruined the Big Bend Vernon Fire Department, was all the politics being played on both sides. Wanting this, wanting that, not wanting this, not wanting that. And I don't want to bring that back into that at all. In the intercept agreement, it says, request, demands, complaints, or other communication provided for herein or made hereunder shall be in writing. These notices, request, demands, complaints, or other communication will be delivered by mail return post requested or by recognized overnight care which provides proof of receipt and will be addressed to address below. And those are for the town of Vernon and the village of Big Bend. Then all notice shall also be provided in writing to the chief of the Vernon Fire from the town of Vernon and the board of Big Bend. So what that reads in plain English is that if we've got a complaint, we go to you. If you got a complaint, you come to us. And that's, something like that I think should be in there, so everybody understands that.
Sure.
So
Proper
the
channel.
political vibe stays out of the park. They can carry on and do what they're supposed to be doing, EMS, paramedic, and fire department services. And those are my thoughts on it. What do you guys think?
Point blank.
So some kind of
So
verbiage or paragraph
some
around-
type of verbiage we're gonna put back in there on that. Because all we have in there is miscellaneous provisions. And that, it's pretty vague.
Sure.
It just says any notice required to be given or shall be given by regular mail to the following address. And that's all it says. And I think it should be a little bit spelled out a little more.
So you guys will work on drafting that, what that verbiage is?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Well, when we go into closed session, you know, like I said, this is the start. We know where you're coming from with the request that you want. Now we gotta see and talk about it in closed session, and then we'll give something back to you. Now, who do you want that? You want that to go to finance? Do you want that to go to the whole village board? How do you want to do that?
I think technically it should go to the board.
Yep.
You know, ultimately, it should go through the same channels that we were encouraged through this contract. You know, set that tone now,
Okay,
and let's communicate it through that process.
that's fine.
You know, and then we'll look at getting you some of those numbers related to the budgets and the actuals and the revenue stream over the last few years. And honestly, we probably also request that of you, so give us some peek at what you guys, you know.
I don't know
are looking.
I don't know if you guys got a telephone call yesterday, but I got a telephone call from the reporter on July 4th wanting to know what we're talking about. And I was not real kind to him. And I told him that we're in negotiations.
Sure.
Come to the meeting. You can hear it.
Fair enough.
That really blew my mind yesterday.
Deadlines.
Yeah, and make printing deadline.
Yeah.
They can be persistent. But we do have a few questions though
Sure.
outside of the contract.
Sure.
One, as far as just staffing. You do staff the building, the station that is...
Chiefs?
Yes.
Alex? This may be a question for you.
As far as staffing goes, you currently have 5 on now, right?
5 during the day, yes, and 5 to 6 at night.
Okay. Would you increase that at all?
We have talked about that, and definitely if we were in a contract situation, we would put at least one more paramedic on, Alex. At least one more on the duty crew.
Okay.
And some of that money that we're getting from you would pay those wages.
Okay. And those are staffed out of your main...
Station 1,
Station
yes.
1, that's 43 and...
Right,
what's
right.
it?
Right. And Alex, that would allow us to pull a fire apparatus and rescue squad, or at least 2 rescue squads, correct?
Right. Plus, we'd be looking to supplement our on-call staffing with people who come from home like we normally do now.
Yep.
So obviously, if there were members of your department that were interested in applying, we would be more than willing to look at them and, you know, welcome them into our department, as long as they're qualified and, you know, they're someone who wants to be a team player. And I think that at the end of the day, we won't have a problem providing service like we do now. I mean, right now we have 3 calls going on, so we're taking care of all three.
How big is your pool total?
It floats a little bit, but we run anywhere from, depending on what we have for people coming and going. We lose a lot of people to career departments. We have some people on leave of absences, but we're authorized up to 60 right now. We'd probably look at increasing that up to maybe 75. And we've already talked with the board about that. And I think that would be a good starting point. And then we would just, as we've always done, reevaluate where we need to go based on call volume, funding, things like that.
But to answer your question, right now we're at just below 50.
Yeah, right,
Okay.
right about 50.
How many calls do you see yearly, EMS related and fire?
For the,
Last year we did 871 calls, but it's a little, I don't say it's misleading, but part of that revolves around, we have a dual credentialing paramedic program with the Village of Waterford, who serves as, we serve as kind of a, for better terms of it, a big brother, where we have our members that will go down there for paramedic intercepts, but they also have their own people who are licensed. And they're technically on our roster, so those people, when they function as a Vernon paramedic, create a run number. And there was probably about 100 plus of those calls last year. So we kind of fluctuate, but we're probably in that 600 ballpark, depending on the year, typical things that affect our, large weather events, things like that.
how was this weekend for you guys?
What's that?
How was this weekend for you?
Busy. Everyone in the county was busy.
Those Waterford paramedics do not count as members on our roster.
Right. Right. They're dual credential, but they're not on our roster.
Not on the roster, but
They're not on the
call.
payroll, so to
Okay.
speak, for Vernon.
Maybe you, with Waterford, maybe you should explain how we work on that with Waterford.
Well, we've developed a good partnership with the Village of Waterford. They have a lot of the same philosophies that we do. They have kind of the same staffing component that we do with part-time people during the day and at night. So we've developed a good working relationship with each other with the paramedic program. We're also sharing a piece of spare apparatus now, where they came in and they bought into being able to use one of our spare engines. And then what that did is that helped both communities out from a financial standpoint. We both don't need to have a spare rig that sits there for basically 300 some days a year and is never used. So we developed that ability to share equipment. We have great working relationships with maintenance on it, things like that, preventative care, and it gets used more than it would just sitting in our firehouse. So that's good for the vehicle as well. So that's been a very, very positive benefit that both communities have had.
How long have you had that partnership or dual program?
We've been doing that for almost a year now. We kind of inked it, would have been in January, February. We kind of finally came to the final. And again, it was a negotiation process, just like we're doing here, where we had some ideas, they had some ideas, some considerations, some concerns, and we were able to work it out between us. And I think we came up with a very workable solution that benefited both communities and saves both of us money in the long run. Plus increase the level of service.
How is their paramedic program?
They're doing well. They've got some growth issues, just like anywhere else does. People are our biggest commodity. I don't care if you're on a career department, you're on a volunteer department, combination department, your biggest commodity you have are people. And it's hard to get people for, especially volunteer paid on call fire departments. And we're no different than anywhere else. We have a lot of, we have some turnover from people who join and then they get hired in a career department. And that causes, not heartburn, but that causes some challenges for us. But we have good recruitment. I think our retention's pretty good. Most of our people that do get a career job come back to work part-time. So that says that they're happy with the organization. Like any community in southeastern Wisconsin in the next 5-10 years, we're going to be challenged for people. We're already talking, some of our chiefs that I work with, we're talking about sharing people now, about doing joint purchases for protective equipment, where instead of buying a set of gear for someone that works in Vernon and in Sussex and Hales Corners, we go in together and we buy one set of gear. And and then they can take it to each spot. But then that benefits us from the standpoint that instead of spending $2,000, maybe only spending $800. So there's a lot of ideas like that we're looking at now. And I think that if we want to survive in the future, we're going to have to do things like that. Working together is where we're going to be successful. Not setting up walls and saying, this is my call, this is your call. The county executive is looking at, trying to push the whole closest unit response thing for the county. Big, huge challenge, but a great idea. I wish them all the luck. But there's a lot of little kingdoms, so to speak, that really need to be considered.
Yeah.
Anything else, Joe? You want to tell us?
Yeah, I'm just, going over that email too that came out.
Who do you all have intercept agreements with?
We have intercept agreements with Town of Waukesha, Guanago, East Troy, Wales, Genesee, Michigan, Waterford are the ones that we officially have. Although we'll go and Big Bend, sorry, and we'll go on and intercept anywhere if someone calls. What the intercept does is it creates some billing credibility for each department and some requirements for Medicare, so that if someone ever challenges the bill, you have an intercept agreement bill that gives you the ability to pass those costs along.
So with an intercept agreement, that allows that host fire department that's running the call, example would be Big Bend. If we would come in and do an intercept with Big Bend, that would allow Big Bend to bill at the ALS rate because they have that intercept agreement and not just the regular BLS rate that you guys are charging.
I got you.
I don't know, you got anything else?
We covered the big ones.
Yeah.
You said it's obviously open dialogue. It's going to go back and forth a little bit.
Yeah.
We'll give you some more data. You guys get us some data. We'll just continue the discussion and see where it goes.
Do you have a set timetable is what you're looking at in regard to putting some kind of agreement in place either with us or with another department or whatever who you are having discussions with?
Well, if we were to move down that road, it would be starting January 1.
Okay.
And I think that's, you had left the
Line blank.
line blank there, but I think as we were discussing in for all intents and purposes,
You probably want to have something more definitive in place for by budget hearing time.
Exactly.
so
That's
that
what's
you have
driving this whole
That's what
thing.
you're striving
Start
for?
the budget discussion for next
Okay.
year, and this is obviously a piece
Same
of
with
that.
us too. We're in the same position. We start budget hearings in August and going into September, so I'm assuming you probably will
Very
want to do
similar.
the same thing.
yeah,
Okay.
where did the year go, right?
It's ready to start up again.
Yeah, it's a fun time of the year.
That was
So-
solid.
Any other questions, gentlemen, that you have for Joe?
Yeah, anything that you have for us?
No,
Even
you
if
know-
I can't answer that.
You can come back and forth with emails anytime you need to, and we'll try to respond as soon as possible.
Right, everything goes through the clerk.
And she
And
keeps
then-
us informed.
She fires
I
it
know when you
out
walk
there.
out, things pop to mind after you've
Yeah,
had the discussion.
yeah.
And you guys might have more after the closed session, of course.
Yep, yep.
Joe and Kelly, I just want to let you know our audited financial statements are always on our website, so you can go back and look if you ever want to, peruse at what the actual numbers were and the budgets too. But anything else you need, I just want to let you know that's on the
Yeah,
website.
a lot of that stuff that you were wanting in,
It's out there.
that email from Brent, it's already online, so you can get it right up.
Yeah.
It's
I'll
there.
take a peek and self-serve if we can, whatever
Yeah.
we can grab.
And it's kind of, if you need clarification, you can either call Karen or you call me. We'll find out. If I don't know, I can call the auditor,
Sure.
find out about it.
Okay.
We want to be as, helpful, do whatever.
Joe, when's your next meeting?
We have a board meeting next week.
Next week.
finance meeting in a couple weeks out.
Tuesday, I believe, is the, we just got the agenda today.
Is Tuesday is
But,
finance?
Tuesday's finance?
Oh, no, Tuesday is your board meeting.
Yeah, because
Oh,
we
that's
pushed
fine,
because
yeah.
of because of the holiday.
Okay.
4th of July.
When is your next finance, do you remember?
End of the month. And I can get you that information.
Oh, that's fine, Joe. We'll get it.
All right, gentlemen,
Okay.
thank you.
Appreciate you coming, Chairman.
Supervisors?
Nice meeting everybody.
Thank you for the meeting, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Nice talking.
All right, item B, deadline for the reorganization of the equipment at the Vernon Fire Station 2. All right. Chief? And Assistant Chief?
Come on up, Pat. I'm taking a good chair, though. I'll get some warm.
So we only have one in the budget.
You there? You talk about it.
So, where are we on the cleanup up there?
You know, we actually had a little pre-discussion. We talked to Ed a little earlier. We've been kind of busy. We had started to have some guys do some of the preliminary looking at some of the stuff. We have some cabinets in the back that have very little in them that we can utilize for you guys if you want to secure some stuff. I'm not sure exactly how much or what you need. I know that we had talked at one time about there was some stuff in the other building that we wanted to maybe utilize, right? Next door? Is that the stuff we're looking to put over there? Is it records or is it stuff
No.
from Park and Rec?
It's Park and Rec.
Park and Rec stuff.
Okay. We have that back in our back storage room back there. There's a set of cabinets on the wall
Right.
that we have very little in. That I mentioned that you guys can use that.
But
I just don't know what you exactly need.
we were up there, Chief, and those cabinets got a lot of.
They're all small little.
Yeah,
junk.
but you got light bars and stuff
Yeah.
up there, and that's the kind of stuff we were talking about, trying to get rid of. You know, if you don't need it, why are we hanging on to it?
Right,
You know?
and we had talked about,
We originally were just gonna throw it away,
No,
but, no, that was the original discussion.
Yeah.
And, I brought up the fact that we could put this stuff on the Wisconsin surplus.
right.
And was it 3 weeks ago we were gonna make, and I
Yeah.
was meet, and then something came up and he couldn't meet, so we didn't get it done.
Okay.
You know, it's, if you want it done in a hurry, we can throw it out. If you wanna give us a, you know, we decide to take the pictures and put it on the site, you know, have all that.
I guess, what would the timeline be? Because I know you want
We
the
wanna
stuff
get it to
that would come out of there would need someplace to go, correct?
Right.
So,
But we
What's
want
Mike's timeline?
Do we know when the abatement program is complete?
He's gonna come and talk to you next board meeting about,
That'll give us a timeline of what we're working on, right?
well, and then next board means what, 2 weeks?
19th.
We'll make it a point to get our people up there in the next 2 weeks and get it to where if he says on that night, I'd like to move some stuff tomorrow, he can do it.
You got stuff there like an old refrigerator, you got the new one in there, and you're gonna move the old. Just stuff that's cluttered.
It's
right
just
now.
rummage sale stuff.
Yeah.
Not even,
basically.
some of it's not even rummage sale stuff,
Yeah,
it's junk.
we gotta work on an ordinance on it before you can have a rummage sale.
Well, he had as many as he
They don't
wants.
know about that, so it's an inside joke.
So, 2 weeks?
Yeah, and just,
Okay.
if someone can give us an idea, if we're looking at anything that's abnormally large, if it's stuff that's a challenge to store,
You get a key and walk over there.
or we're gonna
It's mostly like
You'll
baseball,
be able to see
soccer
stuff,
balls,
stuff in the garage. Balls that match.
baseball equipment, that is stuff that they use in the rec program. Nothing really large, no nets and stuff like that. It's just your average
Takes up
playground
space.
equipment stuff.
We thought about shelving. You know,
Where the
when
old-
Tom and I first looked at it, we thought both walls, we could put some shelving up and start out there. But if the back room's more out of the way.
I think the back
that's
room would be a
better
little bit more,
choice.
not secure, but a little bit more out of the way, so to speak, so it's not gonna get wet.
But that back room right now is packed.
And there's a lot of stuff back there.
Well, there's chairs, we have the whole thing of chairs that we take every year that comes down for pancake breakfast and stuff like that. That's stuff that's not used very often.
Yeah.
So that's a good place to put that, so, you know, and when we
There's
originally
old
looked at.
tires up there. I mean, there's space to move some of that stuff
Yeah.
elsewhere.
Yeah.
There's, you guys can look at it, you know.
We can go through the tires too and see, we've kept those for years in case there was an issue with the rig and some of those could have gone on a rig. It's been a while since we've gone through those, so we put Lieutenant Tricon that, have a look at those tires. and see
Especially
where
when
we're
sitting
at.
outside, now right out the wood.
Those are for training.
Those are just for training?
People use those to
Roll
push
them.
and flip,
See if they can. move.
CrossFit stuff.
Okay,
With
2
the
weeks.
surplus auction website, is it almost easier just to load the stuff up and take it up there and let them put the photos on and do it all the work, and if you want to come see it?
I don't know if they can do that, I haven't had that experience with them. We've done this about a dozen times at the city of Franklin, and we've always done our pictures and done it that way. And then they come, they get the money up there, the people come and pick it up at our station. I don't know if that's an option.
Well,
Are
I've
you
done
aware
it
of
with
that?
golf course equipment, I've dropped it off and say, you guys, they take the photos and just, you know.
And do they charge you more to do that?
I thought it was all the same percentage, but I could be wrong.
I mean, that would be ideal, I'd load it up and put it up there in RV.
Yeah, because that way, because you don't have to be available for someone to come look at it, you have to be there to pick it up, it's all off-site. and-
We'll try to call, I don't know if are they open this week, but Monday or Tuesday, we'll call them and find out what we would have to do, or, you know, what the different considerations
It
are.
is a little bit of a drive up there, but,
What's Wanakee, right? I think you're in Wanakee?
no, it's, the other side of Madison, I forget what it is.
We can take the boat.
The reason we were trying to push this is if you want the building gone before winter, and you guys indicated you could possibly burn it down, and once we get the abatement program taken care of, and we'd like to do it when it's still nice outside, you know.
So would we.
Yeah, and you could get some
Although
extra
that's-
training on it. That's the other upside to this. You didn't have to burn it right away. You know, a couple of weeks of training would be a good situation for you.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And the deeper we get into budget season, you think your time's crammed?
Oh, I know.
Ours is packed too.
Oh, I
So
hear
we just
you.
want to get this out of the way
I
while
hear
we
you.
all have time.
All right.
All right. 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Item C, completion of the Eagle Scout project for Vernon Station 1. How is that in the front there going?
The member that is our mason, who was going to start that project, got hired as a career firefighter in Watertown. So he's now done with his stuff, so he's coming back, and I actually just talked to him about this about a week ago, and he's gonna get that taken care of now. Okay, so he'll have it done. I mean, it was a good bad problem to
So the
have.
Boy Scouts don't have
Is
this.
that 2 weeks?
No, but it'll be
1
done
week?
before the pancake breakfast, I assure you that.
Okay.
Now, our members actually cleaned up that front hose flower
Yes.
bed that was right next to it, and the flower bed directly in front of it. So that's all done, and it looks great.
You guys gotta remember that that's the, front door of the town.
Yep.
That fire department is the front door, so it needs to be kept up.
And our people have done a nice job
And
with
they've
that.
got people that are dedicated
Well,
themselves to that.
Yeah.
We don't dispute that. They do a good job, you know, in regard to taking care of that.
Well, they want their own lawnmower, so.
Pardon?
They want their own lawnmower.
I thought we had one at one time.
Okay, what number?
Down there. Maybe we can talk to John and see if he's got a spare one laying around.
What would the big one be?
Wouldn't take that much.
You want a
John Deere, right? No.
riding one or?
Zero turn John Deere.
They want to cut their own grass. I mean, they do take a lot of pride in the station.
Yeah.
Over Memorial Day was when, I think people who were on call on Memorial Day, they're the ones that did all the yard work and everything. It was hot that day, so.
Yeah. I think John would appreciate it. We wouldn't have to send a guy up there to cut the grass.
I think you ought to contract Tom. He's got a big one come through there in no time.
Just drop it off every week.
Yeah.
I'll get stopped by the Big Bend police driving down the road.
No problem,
Right? Should probably be sitting on 164.
Get a
All right, so
So that's a done deal?
it's so that little bit of face brick and
Yep,
a
face
little
shop.
bit of face
Yep.
block there that's gonna be
Yep.
taken care of.
Yep.
Good.
By the pancake breakfast.
Yep.
Got it.
Okay. Discussion regarding installation of outdoor patio at the Vernon Station 1.
That came out of our association. The members approached me and said, hey, would you have a problem with us putting in a patio for us? Because, they're there quite a bit, obviously doing weekend shifts and night shifts and during the day. And they're looking to pretty much take care of everything. So I don't have a problem with it at all. They want to put basically in the back of our station where the training room is, there's that small little area of grass there. It's kind of
Where you stick a grill over.
yeah, kind of where the grill is. They want to put a small patio in there with room for them to put the grill onto the surface. They want to put up a small short privacy fence that you couldn't see from the freeway, so that if you're looking at it from that off ramp, you wouldn't see them sitting back there. And just for them to have a place where they can either eat a meal when it's nice outside or cook their dinner and kind of lounge and hang out.
I'm gonna read you here what our attorney says here. It's a policy decision. Okay, this is a town board decision after receipt of the plan commission recommendation, as with all properties in the town. We have to go through, just because you're the fire department, you gotta start with the plan commission, and then the plan commission makes a recommendation.
And that's why we had our guy call John to talk to John to figure out what needed to be done. I
So-
think there might have been a miss.
As far as the fees and that stuff, we can waive that.
Right.
But we have to do like everybody else, the business everybody else does, is we have to go through the proper channels. And it's gotta come through the plan commission for a recommendation, and then if it's yay, then it comes to the town board. So, we need to do that process.
I don't think you'd have any problem with it.
No,
It's
and
just
that's why we told him to call
procedure.
John to find out what exactly,
Yeah.
Process.
yeah.
Right.
Because I think our guy called John and said, hey, come tear this up, and that was that kind of guy.
All right. So you're working with John Hannaberry?
Yeah.
With that? Okay. And don't forget Madam Clerk.
Do you have your site plan of operation?
I will get you the committee chair of that little ad hoc committee, and they will report to you.
And tell them I'll help them. It's for, do you want to be on the August agenda?
I'll talk to them, I'll have them call you
Okay.
directly.
Okay.
I won't be in the middleman.
Sounds good.
You don't remember, that's fine.
It's,
A lot of people.
Krzyzewski, right?
Jake?
Yeah,
Jake?
Jake, my house.
Ah.
All right. Item E, medical billing report regarding outstanding ALS EMS fees owed to the town. Madam Clerk, you want to take this?
Yes, I just wanted to state to the board, let me turn this on. Tom, if you could pass this to the board members. Paul Roush, he's the executive director of EMS Medical Billing. He went back and did some extensive work in regards to, that whole situation. What he's proposing is this is going to take a long time to go through, and he'd like to know if the board would be willing to meet during the day and he'd like to actually sit down and go through the whole report with you, possibly the chief if you could make it, because he said this is not a short meeting. It's pretty extensive because he didn't realize that this actually was happening. So he's got some preliminary information for the board to look at in regards to, Chief, I'll give this to you also, the emails exchanges and his
Right, so-
spreadsheet.
And just give you a little more background on that as well. We've actually met with Waterford on several occasions regarding the trip issues that have been out there. I think some of it was based on some documentation challenges. I think some of it, the majority of it squarely lies on the billing company for their responsibilities that they did not fulfill. We are looking at having we're going to be scheduling a meeting between the chiefs of us and Waterford early next week to go over trip charges. The person they had down in Waterford that was supposed to coordinate their side of the fence has resigned. so he's no longer with them. He did not do what he needed to do. The billing company did not do what they needed to do, and then there were some different issues that happened with some checks being issued in the wrong names and some of the, and they've had a lot of turnover with their municipal clerk office, I guess, or
Yeah.
finance or treasurer, whatever they have down there. So that's all these things have been thrown into a blender and have kind of been mixed up a little bit. So we've been working with them for what, the last year, trying to square some of this away.
Oh, this goes back.
2016.
Right,
Yeah,
it goes back to 16.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
at one point last year, we had it all squared away to that point.
Well, and the executive director was totally unaware that this was, was not aware that this
Right.
was going on and is totally unacceptable to them.
He knows
But-
about it now.
Oh, yeah,
no.
but he just was recently informed. So the issue is he said this is a very significant issue. Some of it, and the individuality of each response, there's an explanation that goes into his part, Waterford's part, not the town. But he would like to know if he could meet with the board, and he'd be welcome to come back to
Well, even if all the board members can't come, as long as if we get a quorum, that's fine. And I'm pretty much open afternoons.
I know Wednesdays are bad,
Mondays are bad for me.
Monday and Wednesday, so it'd have to be a Tuesday or a Thursday. Fridays are bad for Jeff.
The Monday, Monday's Mom's Day. I can't do anything but
And maybe
that.
not the next week, but the following week.
We'll see what you can set up.
Okay,
Schedule on a rainy day, Liz.
rainy day.
That was last week. Yeah.
But he has, Mr. Roush indicated that the information that you have here now is just preliminary, and a lot of it requires discussion, and he's also got a call he wants to make a call to you and to the chief in Waterford also.
And Waterford just hired a full-time assistant chief, and one of his primary duties has been focusing on this issue. And he's gone through, from the day we started the agreement, working together, he has gone through and he's audited every run. But as you can think, I mean, that's a lot of calls.
Yes.
And it's taken him a lot of effort and a lot of time to do between everything else he's got to do. So hopefully we're going to have some good answers and an idea where we stand early next week.
So, Mr. Chairman, is it okay if I go up and set a day meeting?
That's
Do you have a target date?
consensus.
It would be not the next week, but the following week, but not on a Wednesday or a Monday.
Are you talking about the week of the 16th?
Yes,
Tuesday would not work. No, that's July.
for you,
I'm looking at the one on the wall.
that's June. Or the 19th, but that's a board meeting. Or the 24th or 26th. I'll shoot some emails to him first, and then,
Why does that have to be during the day?
because it's really long. It's going to be a long meeting, and to do it at a board meeting would be a really long.
What's his idea of long?
He's going to go through each one of those
Have a
items.
lunch or something?
Well, I don't know, I'm not the
Or they
executive
could
director,
bring
but
us
it's not going to be a half-hour meeting.
Okay.
I mean, you saw the Excel spreadsheet of each one. He's going to go through each one of those calls and explain to the board. He wants them to understand what happened.
Now she's got 3 pages
Yeah, there's
here, and I don't know how much more he's gonna be bringing, but he's looking at all the details from that
Yeah,
2016
and
forward.
again, that's the same thing that Waterford's chief
Doing.
has done. So there may be some work that has already been done that may save us some time, or at least have it as another resource to say, here's what we came up with. He's going through every EMS report
yes.
at a time, looking at the documentation, looking at how it was written, who the crew members were, what the narrative says, because what we've done is we've adopted, when we started this, that if it's an intercept, we write it out as a certain way, that 1288 was dispatched for an intercept, so that whoever was reading it from the billing company would know it's an intercept, it's a charge of this. Or if it was a charge of this, it's a 150, and so that's for some of our issues.
We made our reports, we had it very specific.
Yeah.
If our paramedic was on board, yes or no?
Right. And
You know.
Mr. Rauch did indicate that, he substantiated everything you said. His issue now is addressing the board's concern to make them understand, what actually happened, and I hate to say it, but what happened incorrectly, so that they understand. He wants to keep the rapport with EMS Medical Building with the board at a good level. He also doesn't want to do anything to impair any type of good relationship you also have with, and the board has with the Village of Mukwonago. Excuse me, Village of Waterford. Although Mukwonago is good too as well.
Actually, I was come from like $7,000 down to $1,050 or something he's projecting now, because of, we owe them back for things, so if we're gonna see that
It's a
drastic,
pretty
I'd like
complex.
to see where it
Oh,
was.
absolutely.
And didn't they ship out a $4,200 check
Right.
to the wrong entity? Then it went back, and it never got reissued again to the right entity.
He can fully explain.
There was so many different components that were just
Messed up.
messed up that it was,
Yeah, it sounds like a confused mess here.
It's not
That
when
could've been
he
real
gave.
easy, but it got screwed up.
He gave me a brief overview. I mean, that will be explained to you, but the board, like I said, Alex wants to understand what happened, and he wants to go through the timeline of what happened and explain that in detail to the board.
and I think we are owed that,
Oh,
that
yeah.
explanation.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
And the money.
Right.
Because the Village of Waterford, to be perfect, is sitting on a few bills that they owe us, and I told the chairman there's a couple, they're small, but we're not, neither one of the communities are paying this until it's resolved. So,
But if you could just keep me posted on when that meeting's gonna be, because I'm gonna have to take off.
okay.
All right, so then you're gonna set that up, Madam Clerk?
Yes, mornings or afternoons, what's bad?
Alright.
Doesn't matter, okay.
Item F, installation of subdivision lights in Rolling Meadows, right of way of Town Line Road. All right. I think we're done with you for now, Chief.
Yep, thank you.
Yep. All right, you are
I'm Jeff Mazer.
Jeff Mazer.
Poor Jeff Mazer. Mr. Chairman, if you wouldn't mind, I just wanted to state, we did send a letter to Mr. Jeff Mazer, and the only reason it was sent to Jeff is because that's the only name that we had on the thank you card and the contract, the unsigned contract. And I did want to apologize if it caused Jeff any duress, or because the only reason it was done that way, Jeff, is that's the only name that we had besides the contact from Wisconsin Electric, and I apologize personally if it caused you any
No, I just want to
hardship.
make sure you guys understand that, you know, having been born and raised in this town, my parents have been here for almost 50 years. We got a lot of friends and family and such, and hearing my name last week for that 15-minute time frame, being referenced with the word fraud and having the sheriff come and handle the issues with me, I'm very disappointed in this town board with that type of state.
Well, just think how we are disappointed that you did something without permits.
I did not
Now,
do
just
anything
wait a
without
minute,
permits.
just wait a minute,
You're the one that publicly embarrassed me,
just wait a minute,
and I want to know what this town's going to do to rectify that.
just wait a minute. You are the one whose name appeared on all of the paperwork.
Mhm.
I would like an explanation on how you got around all the permitting process.
I did not do any of that.
Nope.
I would like to see if the town board could remove my name from the audio files that was published on the internet and the YouTube video.
Go ahead.
as well.
My name's Ray Jackman, I'm with We Energies, and I believe that the Rolling
Meadows.
Meadows
Rolling Meadows, yes.
subdivision and We Energies, we're acting in good faith, and the permit issue or not pulling a permit is not Jeff's fault or the homeowners association. Typically, when we install lights, We Energies gets a permit. We had a relatively new designer that checked a clerical box so it appeared to everybody that was reviewing the job that the permit was received. The not sending you an application for a permit or not verifying that it came back is We Energy's fault. Because the permit comes to us because there's certain technical aspects on all permits that we need to explain, that we're boring the roadway, we're not open cutting, you know, the dimensions on that, and some homeowners associations are more savvy than others. So we actually apply for the permit because we're the ones doing the work. And I'm here representing the outdoor lighting group. Typically, we don't ask a homeowners association or a contractor or a developer to pull a permit.
since our name is gonna be on it and we're gonna be doing the construction, or our contractors are gonna be doing the construction, we typically apply for the permit. So it was, and I do apologize, it was a clerical error where it showed as being received when it was never even sent to you.
My name was on the paperwork, probably because I'm the one that initially contacted We Energies through their NIDORA program to get this quoted and estimated and trying to pick out some options for the subdivision's homeowner association. I was trying to help the subdivision out, and that was last July. Apparently my name did not get removed from the paperwork on file with We Energies, but I took the quotes and I turned it over to the homeowners association, and then it ran from there. I believe my last communication with We Energies was back in September.
October,
Somewhere there. And then the homeowners association took over from there to coordinate and get payments.
So what's the regular process with the electric company for the permitting? Who goes through that?
We design it, we have an engineer or a designer, because they're not technically PEs, all of them. Design a project, draw it up with all the dimensions, showing the right-of-way lines, showing the property lines, showing dimensions, trying to document what's being installed, and then they fill out a form with the particular information on the permit, and then generally, we don't apply for a permit right away until we're sure that the project is going to move forward. But then before construction, contingencies need to be met, whether we need erosion control, a municipal permit from the town of Vernon, or a DOT permit, or a DNR permit. There's a lot of permits that are involved. Typically, it's the clerk that sends the package out to the municipality to get the permit back. The clerk never sent it out because the designer checked the box that it was complete. So in her opinion, going up and down it electronically, we weren't in wetlands, we didn't need a DNR approval. We weren't on a state highway, so we didn't need a WISDOT approval. We only needed a municipal permit. And since it was checked, she just going through the checklist, showed it as complete, so she just continued on and scheduled it for construction.
I just wanted to state when he says clerk, he's not talking about me,
Yeah.
your clerk.
Our expediting clerk.
Yes. I just
I believe that everybody was well-intentioned. When Jeff came to me, or actually it wound up on my desk, his intention was it's very dark there, it's very unsafe for the kids waiting for the bus. They've got 40 homes, I believe, somebody said. I have no idea how many school children are waiting there, or if the bus comes through the subdivision. And they wanted an enhancement to it. I mean, they have a very nice subdivision, a nice sign. They questioned me about some lights. They went and looked at a different job in the town of Waukesha, I believe.
Yeah, I believe so, New Berlin.
New Berlin, Kohler Ridge.
Yes.
And they made a decision, for that. And typically our notification to you folks at the municipalities through the permit process. Every community is different. Kohler Ridge project, the developer paid for the installation, and the city of New Berlin is picking up the monthly charge. In this case, we didn't, send a letter separate because the homeowners association is going to be responsible for the ongoing energy and maintenance. We're billing them directly.
We do have about 5 or 6 high school students that stand out there in the dark in the morning. We usually have to drive up in the middle of the winter. I called many years ago when my daughter started 7th grade. She just graduated, and I talked about the town and the school board to try and get some lighting out there, and they all said it was up to the subdivision to take care of that. And that's what we ended up doing eventually. It took too many years, but now we have people. We did a vote. The homeowners association did a vote. All 40 homeowners voted on it and said, yes, we'll go ahead and fund the project. So everybody pitched in $250 and paid for it.
I'm totally confused. Does We Energies have an existing easement in that right of way?
We have an easement, I'm not sure if it's in the right of way, but we have distribution easements along that right of way.
Well, that's not clear enough. That's not answering my question. Does We Energies, that's something an engineer would check, number one, before he goes to step two. Do you, as We Energies, have an easement in that right of way to do what you've done?
I'd have to review this, sir. I don't believe so.
I'd like an answer to that. We've got huge liabilities as a town. I don't know if anyone's aware of that. As a town, huge liability. How this got past that question I just raised, why was there no erosion control permit? No one required it? There's disturbed soil there to this minute. Wasn't that required? Our building inspector would issue it, and he would come to someone and say in the town, hey, should I be issuing this? I don't see any permit requests. Was that, you were not required to have erosion control?
I'll have to review that job. I believe it went through erosion control.
Okay, that's, if it did, I want to see the permit and who issued it.
Okay. You know, as I explained, you know, Mr. Craig, none of the, it showed that the permit was received in error, so no permit was issued. I don't have a signed permit. Now, I'll admit that. I've had that discussion with Ms. Shu, that no permit was issued. Typically, in right-of-way for a street light, you know, we don't get an easement because it's for a public benefit. In this case, it's for a public benefit, but it was installed at the request of the homeowners association. When we've installed all the other street lights for the town of Vernon, we don't have easements, you know, in the right-of-way. Our utility poles in right-of-way are not in easement. But thereby prescriptive rights that as a utility we are allowed to be in easement. All those poles along the right-of-way are not in easement.
When asked by the municipality.
No, when we build our distribution system.
What you're saying by prescriptive easement, that's because
Prescriptive
the
rights.
municipality is aware of it. I'm asking if We Energies has the legal right to go down a right-of-way without town approval, and a legal right-of-way that you have not been given an easement to. I've done construction for years, almost 4 years. This boggles my mind. This boggles my mind. How this got all the way from zero to where we're at now. 2 crooked poles with piles of dirt around them. 10-year-old kid could take a $5 transit and do a better job on that. And no one on this board knew until this job was totally done. We look like a bunch of buffoons here. So we've got stuff. I gave We Energies over the years a lot better credit than that. Everything I've ever done with you guys, everything had to be perfect. Everything had to be done properly. This just, to me, contradicts your whole philosophy for the last 50 years. I don't know what's going on here. It's just...
Sets a bad precedent for what you're dealing with. I don't know how to deal with it.
Well, and that's the question. We right now have liability as a town, as I see it. What do? We've got that liability was thrown on our shoulders. We knew nothing about it.
We did check with our insurance agent, and he said we're actually covered for that. Because Sarah had checked with them to make sure that if somebody runs into the hole and gets killed, is it any different liability than if they run into our signing field or secondary?
Yeah, but wasn't it charged in the secondary?
I don't know if that's, you know, that's from our insurance agent. So
We always go for
liability
deeper pockets.
coverage.
We got deeper pockets.
Well, technically under the tariff, which all We Energies programs are under, we maintain ownership of that pole and that light. So we are also liable for that pole or light.
In addition, reading through various emails and documents, there was nothing that I could find where anyone taking responsibility for the rehabilitation of the area. There was for the pole installation, but I didn't see anyone being billed for the, and it was not, as I understand it, part of the original billing from the energy.
I'm sorry.
In the original letter, the fixing up, getting rid of the dirt and putting the seed, that's already good. That's already done. That's already done.
It is, but we also, sorry, Holly Boyd, president and building metals, board. We also did get a quote from our landscaper to have that fixed after, but like you had mentioned, they were crooked. So we introduced was actually going back to fix those and straighten them back up, so we didn't want to fix that until they straightened that back up.
It's not spelled out, restoration, but in the letter that went to the homeowners association, it did mention that it did not include restoration. And that was,
Correct.
I think, made clear to Holly and the other folks
We
up
have
front.
three
their
members of the
landscaper-
HOA that work for me. So less number.
We go through Octagon, and we have a quote to get that fixed. We were just waiting until they straightened the poles, which was going to be happening, not this week because of the 4th of July, but within the next 2 weeks.
So this is something, in my history with the town, I've never heard of anything like this happening. There's always been channels, and it just boggles my mind how this ever got to this point. And we're all sitting here with egg on our face, like, I had to go out there and convince myself it really happened to believe it. So,
How do we resolve it? You guys did something.
I'm gonna read you what,
outside the realm
I'm
of
gonna
everything.
read what's on here from from our attorney. The town board took definitive action on this matter at the last meeting. The town board is now in the process of investigating how this could happen. Okay. As to what should occur is a policy decision by the town board action, but the town board action will set precedent. Regardless of the town board decision in the matter, the town may want to establish a policy as to when and where streetlights will be allowed going forward. This matter may be appropriate for a staff meeting. So, that's what I'm worried about. I want a light. I paid electric company, I stick up a light. I don't get a permit, I don't do anything. Well, Rolling Meadows didn't do it.
Yep.
What are you gonna do to me? Is electric company gonna screw up on my light too? Doesn't matter. You guys got it. What do we do with that? What do these four guys and myself do with something like that?
Don't know, I just got the pricing.
Is there,
So,
just a question, Tom, is there a possibility of moving those onto land that is in control of your under your homeowners association without being
Out of the right.
totally out of kilter where it won't affect that intersection? Is there a way to move those poles off of our right-of-way and into private property?
There's that possibility, yes.
That resolves our problem with the precedent they're talking
You
about.
know, and you guys would have to bite the bullet on the cost of moving it, but I can sympathize with you in regard to having that intersection with the amount of children that are out there in the wintertime for protection side. I would think that this would be something that would be to your advantage, but I don't believe the town should have to have this in the right of way for the simple fact of the precedent of what the attorney has indicated. I don't know if you guys can work out something in regard to that, or
Again, I do apologize, it was a clerical error where the paperwork wasn't sent to you,
But you understand the problem it's creating for us right
I
now.
understand.
And it's
I
almost
do.
insurmountable without opening the gate to anybody.
we basically
Let me give
put
you
a-
one more example if I can. A couple of years ago, Hidden Lakes put in a light for safety. A lot of kids in Hidden Lakes at the time, and some girl had been killed on a bicycle up there. Nobody argued about letting them put that light in by the subdivision. They all wanted to do it. We gave permission. After all the kids moved out, they came and said, "We don't want that light anymore. Will you pay the bill now?" And the board agreed to pay the bill now. I can see that same scenario coming down, and that's not the most important part of it. The most important part is what do we tell the next guy, like Tom says. He comes in and says, "We got kids here, we want a light." I don't want to be a bad guy and say, "Don't put a light there." Put a light there, but follow the right regulations. And now, if we leave you there, we have no option but to say, "Go ahead." We can't do that. We just can't do that. Gary just gave you the best option, short of move the lights.
Jeff?
You know, if this was brought to our attention, the initial process, we probably would have issued the permits and not be having this discussion today. But yeah, we're setting precedent, and how do we solve the
There's
problem?
not a simple answer, there's not a
No.
good answer. There's a
No,
very simple
no.
answer, it's not a good answer, but
You know, definitely get the,
if you guys can agree, we won't have to give you the good answer or the bad answer.
yeah.
It's actually not my decision.
Understand.
I'm not part of the homeowners association. I can't.
Oh, you're not?
make that decision.
Well, how
I
long,
got
how
involved
long
in some
do
pricing
we,
to help out. That's my
do you understand what we're looking for? We're looking to move those lights on private property, off of the town's right of way. Okay?
That'd be the easy solution for us.
Yeah.
Or remove them and go through the proper channels, start over from square one. Those are the two options, gentlemen?
Yes.
How
I
long
don't
do
see
you
it.
want, 60 days?
Pardon?
60 days to figure out? 60
When's your
days?
association meeting?
60 days enough for association? Would 60 days be enough for an answer?
You'd have to work with the electric company, and
30 days, I don't think, would
that's not.
August
that work
and
for you guys?
July and whatever, I don't know. And you gotta work with the electric company.
I personally, you know, from a aesthetic point, what looks best for everybody, and I realize that we didn't pull a permit, and like everybody agreed here, you know, that if there wasn't a clerical error, you know, it would have been approved, stuff like that.
Absolutely.
You know, that you make an exception for the homeowners association, for these 40 people, and for We Energies, because everybody had the best intent, you know, here.
But that doesn't fix our problem going forward. Like we told you, we cannot sit there and say, bless you, because the next guy that comes in has to be treated equitably, and the law will
We
back
have
that up.
to
You
treat
cannot make
everybody
exceptions without making
what we
rules.
do for one person in town. What the town board does for one person has to be done for everybody.
Well, yeah,
We, intentions, I understand completely. I've got two kids, they stood on Skyline and caught the bus. And that's, you know, it's supposed to be 35, but that's 55 to who knows, whatever. I know that, okay. But what we do for one, we have to do for everyone. And I can just see people coming in here, hey, really, man, they didn't get a light, they got lights, no permits, oh yeah.
So even if the homeowners association worked with We Energies to pull a permit properly now, after the fact, are you saying that it wouldn't?
That's not
it
an
wouldn't
option.
probably
We
work
did not
through?
give you that as an option. What we gave you as an option was move the lights on the private property or take them down. Those were the two options. You're the one that's sticking the third option in there.
I'm asking a question.
That's not an option. To me, it's not an option. Is that an option for you guys?
No.
Isn't there an outlet on the northwest corner? Perfect spot for one, maybe two lights. That's right in.
It's all outlots.
there are outlets there.
Yeah. But I mean, that's right for the road.
Typically, you know, good engineering, you know, and I'll grant you that not pulling a permit wasn't good engineering. Good engineering is to have them 3 to 4 feet back a curb. We are now gonna be 10 to 15 feet at a minimum back of curb. Aesthetically and engineering, it's not gonna look properly. We're trying to do the best for the community, for the homeowners association, for the town of Vernon. And I will admit, you know, I'm not the one that checked the box, but I'm here representing We Energies. It's not their fault that we didn't send in a permit.
You know, we keep going through the same thing. We cannot sit here and give permission for this to happen without setting a precedent, and we've explained that precedent would just open up the can of worms to any subdivision in the area. You put us in a real bad spot. I for one, do not want to say we don't want to put lights out for safety of kids. But I also can't tell the rest of the community that I'm going to give you a deal I can't give everybody else. Not legally, I can't do that. Am I wrong?
I believe the attorney said something about, setting a policy.
Yeah.
Creating
After the fact.
creating a policy after this.
For the future.
Mistake.
Yeah.
And that policy could be that only the town of Vernon can request a light, in road right of way. And failing to, for the request to come from the town of Vernon, the light would need to be removed. There are options. Because that's, what.
They already have that in an ordinance, Ray.
We already have it in the ordinance.
That's part of the law right now. That's just so you know. The attorney's talking about the law states this, but if someone wants to make a request, how does the board handle those requests? Just to clarify.
What if you have another request down the road and you get a new bright engineer in there and he chooses not to check with the town either? Now you have the same situation twice. Where does this end? It's just old in conflict. It's just hard to do.
So, somebody want to make a motion? I'll make the motion. I'll make the motion to either remove the lights or move the lights to private property. And we'll give you 60 days to come back with a solution. You can go to your people or do whatever you gotta do. But after 60 days, if there's no solution, I think they're coming down. That's my motion.
I'll second that. They can always go back in with a proper permit.
What's the chance that would get approved if we take the lights down?
That it would be approved to take the lights down?
We'd remove the lights, then start the process over with permitting.
Basically what we're saying. You have to follow the process and then everything's fine. You're not putting us in a position where we're stuck with a bad decision. That's the only fair decision we've got.
Yeah, if you did take the lights down, apply for the permit, if you guys issued within the next board meeting, I wouldn't have a problem with that. You put them back up after the permits were issued.
Is that amendment to the motion?
I'll make that a friendly amendment. I'll second.
I'll make that friendly amendment.
I'll second it.
Can you do one more friendly amendment that there is no cost to the town whatsoever?
I thought that was assumed, but yeah.
For permits, labor, materials, and between the association and We Energies.
We're paying for 13 lights now.
Did you get all that, Madam Clerk?
I think so.
Could you read it back, please?
Chairman, do you want me to read with all the amendments?
Yes.
Okay. Chairman Thomas Bird moved that the light either be removed or a light moved to private property, and the property owners have within 60 days to come up with a solution with the amendment that the property owners can petition for a street light at the next board meeting, and none of which is at any cost to the town of Vernon.
They gotta be taking, something was said in there about taking them down.
It says remove the lights. The first part of your motion was remove the lights or move the lights to private property within the 60-day time frame. And then the amendment was to allow the property owners to come forth with a proper application at no cost to the town of Vernon.
How are we gonna, before we vote on that, how are we going to have the simple fact that when they don't want them anymore, they say, we don't want to pay for them anymore, you pay for them?
I think we need to go to,
That board at that time to make that decision, they made that on Hidden Lakes, and I wasn't in favor of it, but
I think that's we need to create a policy.
we need to go to policy decision on that, Tom.
yeah.
You know,
Yeah, but
That's
policy is a policy, that can be changed.
Yeah.
yeah.
If you want to fix it right now, you need a letter from them stating they assume more responsibilities for future invoices or changes necessary.
Well, we can get that when we issue permits.
Yeah.
Could be a condition. Those things could be put in, not a problem.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. You understand?
It's really the homeowners that you're talking to.
Yeah.
This is the board behind Jeff.
Do you understand the motion? Yes?
Yes. Yes.
Pretty clear cut. Yeah.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
All right.
Citizen request, item G, citizens request to the town to request table service for Guthrie and Town Line Road residents. Madam Clerk?
She's just talking there.
Is anybody here for that?
I don't know.
Board members, chairman and board members, Bill Painish was the resident that came in, and almost every one of those people have called indicating their frustration with not being able to get, they've got a commercial line, according to the residents, coming right down their road and up Town Line. And in Town Line there is cable services for Rolling Hills, Rolling Meadows subdivision, and all they're asking, and they don't know if it's gonna help, but all they're asking is if the town board would write a letter to Spectrum Time Warner asking if they could provide service down the road at obviously Spectrum Time Warner's cost.
Did we ever get a map?
But each one of those residents can tell you they don't have service.
Did you ever get clarification whether this is a service issue or is this a cost issue?
I haven't even contacted Spectrum Time Warner at this point. That wasn't there. The citizens' request was a letter from the town board.
Right now, that's all they're looking for is a letter from the.
And it would start the dialogue.
Requesting.
Because the Spectrum Time Warner would either say, yes, we'd love to provide the service, or yes, it would cost you. And I did tell you that next year we'll be getting the maps. I am going to apply for as many broadband grants that we can get with using state funding and federal funding for our areas that are very, very rural. They might consider this road a rural road. It's not highly populated. But like I said, at this point, all they're asking is if the town board would write a letter requesting Spectrum Time Warner to provide service down the road, not up to their homes. They realize they'll have to incur that cost, but they just wanted to come down their road so they can get the service.
It's all ready to go, right?
I just drafted a letter just in case you were, but they're not asking if you pay anything. They just want a letter to go out to start the dialogue and see where it goes from
You
there.
have to include a map for them so they understand where that is.
No, they'll clearly understand, and as I stated, we will be getting maps in regards to where service is located, in the town of Vernon, but I'm sure they consider that a rural road with the amount of residents on the road.
In dealing with Spectrum in the past, or actually Time Warner at that time, they indicated to me when I requested service, when I moved, when we were without service, everything moves on the amount of customers they can sign up to justify running their line down the main. This looks like a significant amount of people that have indicated they'd like to get the service. Would you be able to include this petition with the
absolutely.
with the letter?
It would just start. All that letter is doing is starting the dialogue.
Yeah.
Based on the Spectrum Time Warner's response, you'll know what to do after But that's all they're asking at this point is just a letter.
Well, I don't have any problem with that at
We'll
all.
make a motion to ask the clerk. So we got any more questions?
Yeah, I got a big one.
What's that?
We're writing a letter, are we requesting the service
No,
for these people?
on behalf of these people.
Or on behalf, who
So maybe we
pays
should
for
put the
it?
wording in behalf.
Okay, on behalf. Do we pay half? I don't wanna pay for somebody else.
Yeah, maybe take
No.
out into the Vernon Town Board.
No.
No.
Yeah, we should make that pretty clear that
They're asking.
we're not involved in the cost of installing cable service to individual homes, you know. Then we're gonna have uproar, people say, well, I paid for service myself, I'm not paying for somebody else.
I made a note to myself that asked, why are we doing this instead of them?
They've already called and wrote.
They figured maybe more
They gave
power
a-
coming from the town board.
That's all they're asking
know,
for is
I
to, start the
Is this a town board issue though, or is
No.
this something
Could
that
some
should be dealt
verbiage
with
be
by
put in the letter, Tom?
subdivision?
we have the contract.
Yeah,
They don't. We do.
we do.
I think you're opening another can of worms.
Is there some kind of a contract? Maybe I'm under a false pretense here, but I always assumed when a utility company comes in, whether it's Warner Cable or Spectrum, whatever it is, that they're agreeing to take the whole municipality. Now, I'm not saying to pay the cost to run to each property, but are they not assuming they're going to have to serve that whole municipality with everybody paying their fair share of getting service to their homes? I mean, that seems logical to say, well, now someone has to make a special appeal, even though you're in the town, because we're on Guthrie and Town Line, to get us service. That doesn't make sense.
Well,
Maybe there's service for, we'll get someone else to serve.
Well, I don't know what options they have. I really don't know what options they have. And their request isn't for AT&T, it isn't for DirecTV, it's to Spectrum. And they are obligated to provide service to the town of Vernon, but if you look at the town of Vernon and how it's laid out from an economic standpoint, and there's caveats in the contract that cover them, trust me.
I would agree with Tom wholeheartedly. We're basically out there petitioning for a group of people. As nice as it sounds.
I can sympathize with these people that they don't have cable service. And I would, just to speed things along, Tom, I think I will make the motion that we do send a letter to Time Warner or Spectrum or whoever they're going under the name these days to follow through with this request by the homeowners to request that they look into establishing service for these on the Guthrie or Town Line or whatever, however it be phrased. Yeah. This letter that you put together is pretty good, except for the fact that I think we need to clarify that we're under no cost to the town. It's a motion.
I'll second it for discussion. On that letter, very important to the homeowners and to the Vernon Town Board, I think the Vernon Town Board should be removed.
Right.
I don't have a problem with that.
And they don't have a homeowners association or one person in charge of this, do they? Or,
No,
No.
these are
just
this is people on a road.
I was going to say, if it was, response was directed to one of those individuals versus the town.
I assume they don't want satellite dish, Karen, is that what they checked into that?
I didn't. Their request was Spectrum Time Warner.
Well, the problem was internet then,
Yeah.
you get TV with the satellite,
Oh,
but you can't get the
okay.
internet then without,
Yeah, I think that's what most of them are probably shooting for.
yeah, it's the internet service.
Lack of internet service.
Karen, can we just put a period behind homeowners in and get rid of the N to the Vernon Town Board and then remove the names from the bottom?
Remove
That
the,
takes us out, we're just saying that we as a board discussed the petition we received. We're passing it on to you. Please look at this and respond. We're not making a request, we're making it for them.
Right.
I don't want to sign on the bottom either.
Oh,
Just went down the side.
Well, if you sign it, it says, hey, we're signing it. Can we do that?
take our
We put a
names
period
off of.
behind homeowners and cross out N to the Vernon Town Board. And the Vernon Town Board would like a written response to this request by July 20th. You put these members. I don't know who they send it to.
Or
Send it to the
we'll
Vernon
let the
Town.
written request be passed along to the homeowners.
Yeah, rather than come to us.
Yeah.
Yeah, somewhere.
So what do we
Their address
do?
is on there.
What do we do in the next request for whatever comes along?
Well, if they put a
Whatever
petition-
service.
Yeah, but if they put something like this together as a group, I don't know, do we want to start responding to stuff like this or not? We, the undersigned, would like Spectrum provide service to Guthrie Drive. Why don't we just forward that to Spectrum in a letter and say, these are some of our residents?
There you go.
Well, why couldn't they do that?
That was my first thought. Why are we,
Why are we doing it?
I think because.
as a,
Well, the residents have done this.
yeah.
yeah, we're
Yeah.
doing as a,
They thought maybe you'd have more clout.
as the owners, as the
That's
people
what
with
the bottom line is,
See
yeah.
how much call we got with the electric company?
Yeah.
Hey, the sheriff's department's back there watching.
My recommendation.
I don't think he did anything wrong yet.
I was about to mention the association, I thought there was something about pay for removal and reinstallation. And I think they probably will have that discussion.
Electric company doesn't have any.
Do we want to involve ourselves in this?
Well, I still,
Well, there's a motion.
yeah, this is a motion.
I don't think it hurts just to send a letter, but there's no way to have any intentions of paying for any of it.
No, me neither.
But sending a letter is really no.
Not in my cable bills.
You know, it's a private entity, cable. It's a business. These are all private people.
Karen said
Well,
we
there's
got
a
the
motion.
contract, I don't know. Does that
Any more
have-
discussion?
Does the fact we have the contract have weight that we should be pushing it? I don't know. I hate to ignore people that send requests.
Me too.
We
We're
could
not
say
ignoring
no,
it.
we could say yes, but.
We're not ignoring it, we're voting on it.
Yeah.
That's true. See which way the flops here.
There's a motion, and it's been seconded. You wanna read the motion again?
The motion was made by Supervisor Gary Wiley to send a letter to Spectrum Time Warner to request service for the residents on Guthrie and Town Line Road, seconded by Jeff Millies for discussion. And in that discussion, you asked that the letter is very important to the town board be retracted, and the town of Vernon clerk would like a response by July 20th, 2018, and all signature names be removed and have it signed by the clerk. Does that sound good?
Did I catch that where we're getting rid of into the town of Vernon board?
Yep,
Right.
yep.
Hearing.
I got the board out. I just said that you discussed it.
I'd like a roll call vote on that.
Chairman Thomas Byrd.
No.
Supervisor Jeff Millies.
Yes.
Supervisor Gary Wiley.
Yes.
Supervisor Ed Moline.
No.
Supervisor Bill Craig.
Nope.
Motion fails. All right.
College try.
Discussion of engineering review of changes to a master grading plan. Bill, you actually didn't ask for this, but you asked a question about it, but I thought
Yeah.
it would be good enough to talk about it.
Sure. I basically brought this up last meeting because I know subdivisions generally, the newer ones, do have master grading plans, elevations, layout. And a question came up when someone came to my office, and to be honest, over all the years I've done construction type work, there have been master grading plans. I didn't know of any that were modified. So my question was, okay, is this a town policy that we have the engineer and or the planner analyze the grading plan and decide on their own merit whether the elevation can be raised, lowered, or whatever? Well, Karen's been around the board longer than I have. She said there have been 7 or 8. That's not an age thing, Karen. That's strictly a historical thing. Historical.
Don't worry.
Historical fact. I didn't say around longer. I said around the board longer.
I got it. Okay, Bill, you're out of the will.
So anyway, I was not aware that I did talk to Vince. Vince said the same thing. He said, if a request comes to him to vary from the master grading plan, he goes to the engineer and to the planner, and they determine if there's going to be any negative effects for runoff and so on, which was fine with me. So the reason I brought it up, I have not personally run into that over the years. It's probably a moot point for us because I don't know if we're going to see any new developments in Vernon in the near future. But it probably is a good thing, if nothing else, just to look at. And I'm not for or against. I just had not run into those, I don't know if I'd call it a variance or not, but those things being granted. So, like I say, Karen had experience with 7 or 8 of them, you said, I think.
Yeah.
Vince the same.
Yeah.
11?
Yeah,
So
yes.
apparently it's been a policy that either the board has established it over the years, or I've been on here 8 years.
And I've just done the billing for the last 5, and you can see, I wanted to give you an accountability of what we've done in chargebacks as it relates to engineering fees for amendments to master grading plans.
Yeah.
And this has been done prior to my service as your clerk. And it's not done just on subdivisions. You'll see it done on certified survey maps. It's happening quite a bit in the that Dow Court area because of the topography of the land. This particular this issue that made this come to be is another issue as it relates to stormwater and elevations and
Is stormwater the driving force here, you think?
Oh, there's multiple, but Vince really would like to talk.
Design too. People design different.
They want the walkout basements.
They want walkout basements, and
Because
they buy the lot because
of the contour of the land.
Yeah.
and the grading profile doesn't match up with what they want to do.
Yeah.
And when a subdivision grading plan is approved, it's approved without any buildings.
Right.
And then based upon what the development is, whether it's commercial, residential, that's where your variables come into place. And Vince requested that at the next staff meeting, he'd like to go into a lot more. And Sean also, as a zoning administrator, wanted to reiterate the importance of why this is done and why it's done as an engineer. And I can tell you, every one of the developers, we have never been stiffed on a payment for engineering reviews because they're notified it.
They have to pay for it. It's a charge back to them. But it helps. Some of those lots that are unsaleable or are vertically,
Challenged.
Yeah, it helps for sale for those lots, and you can move them because somebody's got in their head that, hey, I could build this. Okay.
So the only question I have remaining is, where do we stand as a town liability-wise when one or both neighbors have water issues?
We don't get into private water issues.
So even though our engineer made a judgment call?
It was for the request of the homeowner.
Or mainly, it's not.
Other houses.
It's more for
We're
the.
supposed to be looking at that.
It's more for the zoning and the building administrator. It's not necessarily for the homeowner, and they get the engineer and sometimes the county involved in their review. I put just so you can see, and that's done to protect the town and adjoining property owners and the homeowner. It's done to make sure that development is done efficiently and at the highest level of services.
I'd like to take this to staff when
Yeah.
Attorney Macy
Yeah, and
and
planners,
our
and a planner, and a
planners
fence.
and Vince,
They're
so
all
we
here.
can hear from them.
Yep.
Yeah.
And if we need to write a policy for that, then we should. I
Yep.
think that was a good question you asked, Phil.
I know nothing about engineering, but,
Good question.
Yeah.
it's been bouncing around.
There could be, there could be situations there that cause problems, so.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're gonna take that to staff.
Yep.
All right. Should leave us again? Okay. Item I, resolution 2018-8, a resolution to establish temporary no parking zones on the town of Vernon roadways. I put this back on here because we looked at it. And
It's right here, Chairman.
Looks like it's
Right there.
I put a note that said, looks like it won't be needed.
That's what I was thinking.
I put it in front of you. You see the language that protects
Yeah.
the town already?
It's pretty consistent with the resolution. And why do we have to have a resolution if we already got it in place?
The only thing the chairman discussed is you may, at a staff meeting, talk about if you want a policy similar to the streetlight thing. If the DPW director says no,
Yeah.
you might want something where you get the town board involved.
But this says, basically what this says, this is an ordinance,
Yep, so that's already law.
which should override a resolution anyway.
Right.
So we put that aside,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
we should probably have a motion
Okay.
saying we don't need it.
I'll make a motion that I think, we could pass on
That we
resolution number
already,
2018-08 and not enforce it, or enact it, sorry.
Second.
because, you wanna put a because in there, Eddie?
Whoever reads it.
You wanna put a because in there, a reason why you don't want it?
Yeah, because, we can, it's because
Because
it's
of
already.
Chapter 180.
Chapter 290, vehicle
Yep.
traffic, 290-5 parking limitations takes care of it.
Right, then with that motion, somebody could go back to that and say, yeah.
Three.
Right, they know why.
They
It's a
don't want it.
redundant, it's a redundant piece of,
And it's been seconded, moved and seconded, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
I didn't catch, who did the second?
Eddie.
Bill.
Oh,
Bill?
Yeah.
okay.
I don't know, one of them guys down there.
Got
Just
it.
send it to David.
Authorize town chairman to sign the MRAC agreement.
Just so the board members know, when Doug was here, he did some extensive review of all the uniform and mat contracts, and this one still is by far, you can see the increases from 15 till now, somewhat small increases, and his recommendation is just to go with another 3-year. The mandatory is, the suggested is 5, but they agreed to a 3-year contract. That's what you did last time.
So we changed it from 5 to 3.
He did.
He did, okay. I'll make a motion to authorize the town chair to sign the Aramac agreement for a 3-year term. Anything else, Karen?
That's good, Supervisor Moley.
I'll second it.
Discussion?
The only thing I was gonna check with Doug is, every week,
Doug?
John.
John, every week we get a bill, from them, and every week they charge us for 70 shop towels. Is it possible we go through 70 shop towels a week? We do?
Yep.
Okay.
If you work in the my husband goes through lots more than that, and he's never around. Big commodity. If you guys need to borrow some, I can cover that.
Okay, I just.
Donation from Shoe Trucking.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. I just had I see it come through on the bill all the time. I was going, geez, that's a lot of shop towels. I use one shop towel a year.
Every once in a while, we are getting some gross, and we borrow their shop towels. So.
I go through a lot of them. Do you?
So it's been moved and seconded?
Yep.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Ordinance 2018-4. Ordinance to allow online ACH payments for invoices approved by the town board. Madam Clerk.
Mr. Chairman, this is just the beginning. I just wanted to draft some language. We talked about this at one board meeting. I totally recognize it's got some legal issues, and Attorney Macy indicated there's another part of the ordinance that conflicts with state statute. But I just want to let you know I just took one crack at it. All I did is on the chapter 23 just added the language to the existing language. I didn't change any of the format of how we go through the bill process, what you approve. The only thing that this ordinance is proposed changing, instead of signing the check after the checks have been approved by the town board, there's a click to either pay it online or a click to pay it by an ACH payment.
Would it have to update the ordinance in order to, okay, so can we make a motion to send it to ordinance for review?
Oh, no, it's got to the attorney. No offense to Ed, but it's.
Don't send it to Ed? Oh.
Eddie blessed this already.
Okay.
He doesn't know it, but he did.
All right. Karen, I sent an email, one word, that read funny, severability.
Yes. And what I would do, Ed, is if the board chooses to send this to the attorney, I'd also send your email.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah, I didn't send it to the attorney because the board didn't authorize me to do anything, but I do have it, Ed.
Macy hasn't approved any for any other communities, we've been happy.
Oh, I didn't look at that. This one because of the state statutes and finance, and I mean, it shouldn't be a big review.
I just wonder, we're the communities doing, someone else got to have one.
Are we going to have a problem moving forward when we go with the town chair, treasurer, and clerk? Will the treasurer and clerk become one position? You really want two or three people signing up?
Because what you're going to do is pass an ordinance, soon, that wherever the verbiage treasurer or the verbiage clerk exists, it's now replaced by clerk treasurer. Yeah, so you don't have to amend all your ordinances or state statutes.
We had 3 signatures in the past. Do we want to go down to 2? Is there an option to maintain 3?
There might be some language that needs to be added, because the most important part isn't the signature on the check. The most important part is the town board review the invoices. Yeah. I mean, there's no law that says 3 people have to sign a check.
No policy.
Right.
But you're not going to get a lot of grief from our accountant, are you?
Oh, no, like I said.
Just a point of fact.
No, and you can see in one of the manual checks why this is being requested.
That's the way things are going these days, everything's paid online.
So what do we need to do, is give you authorization to send it to the attorney, or you want to mock it up?
It's whatever you guys, that's just a proposal. If you want me to add things to it, take it away.
Well, Macy's going to change it anyway. Probably.
Yes,
Just what's legalese, right?
Yes, you will.
Why don't we give it to them like it is and let them ring the bill?
I'd rather give it to him because
I'll make a motion to send this to the attorney for review.
Ka-ching.
for legal advice, not
Legal
opinion.
review, not opinion.
There you go.
Excuse me, thank you. Gotta be specific.
Not to exceed the national debt.
Am I supposed to put the national debt comment
No,
in?
forget
And good luck with that, yes.
Any more discussion?
No.
All those in favor?
Was there? Okay, now, who Tom, are you testing me? Who seconded that one?
Eddie?
And no, he made the motion, silly.
I made the motion. I did.
Oh, that's right, I forgot that, I'm sorry.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Item L, chargeback of legal services on May legal invoices.
Board members, I just want clarification. You know, the ordinance is specifically clear on what happens when there is an invoice and what gets charged back. I just wanted to clarify with the board, and I'll do whatever the board tells me to do, but the 2 indications on it says Manitower and Rev Motorsports do not have, or did not have, pending applications at that time. The clarification was in regards to our zoning ordinances and how they read and the interpretation. So clearly on both the Manny tower, it's that slight modifications to our cable tower. Those were all questions from Sean and I related to how the zoning code read and procedures. And the Rev Motorsports was a question as it related to the conditional B3, which was granted under the county zoning. We have our new zoning now, and conditional B2s are not allowed under a grandfather of the county ordinance. So those questions that you see there truly were not of the petitioner or the specific. It was an ambiguity or a clarification as it relates to how our zoning code read. So I wanted.
Reading that right, it's $361.15 total.
Yes.
I make a motion based on your conversation, the scripture, what took place at the town paid the tab on it. Isn't that what would be done normally in this case?
Right, and the attorney indicated that he, in the future, and we don't do that very often,
I know.
but those two issues were new issues for us, and issues that we are going to make suggested changes in the new code to make it clear. And
it wasn't really something that benefited.
No, it's for anyone that came forth.
I think it's ours.
But I just would need your permission.
I'll second it.
Any more discussion? No. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Newsletter.
You just saw in the packet what the deadline for the newsletter is, and encourage board members to get their little articles in. And the other thing I wanted to, with that, Norris made a request to put information in the newsletter. We've had that request from other businesses and or entities, and the board typically doesn't allow that. We do have Norris on our website. We have some information. We have a link right to their website, so I don't know how the board feels about putting any specific information in, but I wanted you to see their request and get your opinion on what you'd like to do with their request.
I say keep it on the website.
Well, they want it in the newsletter.
No, not just the website.
Just
They
keep it
want to
okay.
update it to the new version, right? It was there already. They said they have new stuff they want to put into it.
But our link puts right to
Two
their
things.
link.
They want to update the link we have, and they want to go into our newsletter with.
Right, and the website isn't it's the newsletter that's on the agenda. They want to put things in the
I
newsletter.
think we'd be setting kind of a bad precedent like that.
Because now this stuff is required.
You let them in, how do you stop somebody else from coming in?
My
It's got a
homeschool.
policy, but.
I'm a homeschool. I want to be in the newsletter like Norris.
What my kids
Well,
did.
some of this might be my fault. When I had the meeting with them, that was one of my suggestions, the possibility of going onto the newsletter. And that I probably spoke out of turn, and that's the result of what transpired here now, is that their request. You know, I also recommended to them to come to the town board meeting and get on the agenda, and then they could use that as a avenue of discussion of what they're doing. So, in regard to this, that you can probably lay the blame at my fault for suggesting the newsletter.
You didn't try selling them an ad space, huh?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, blew it here. No,
But they have a tab that will access the website
Well,
on
the
the
web
town.
will reach a lot more people.
Yeah, and why don't they use that as their,
That's fine. You know,
The newsletter goes on the web too, right?
Oh yeah, yep.
yeah,
So if they're on the web already, they're already there.
yeah. So it's redundant probably and to have it at two different spots. They probably are looking for the most exposure that they can probably get, figuring that the newsletter plus the website is double
Hit 'em both
duty,
ways.
double hit them both ways. So I can live with the fact that I screwed up and I'll vote not to put them on the newsletter.
Is that a motion?
Yes, sir. I'll make that motion since I'm the one that precipitated this thing.
And Supervisor Wild, did you also encourage them to update their information for our website so it?
Yes.
Okay.
Everything
Okay.
other than the newsletter.
right,
Is there a second?
Eddie.
second.
Oops.
Moving seconded, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. all see the fall newsletter dates,
Mhm.
get your articles in. So, correspondence. I have none.
I have none.
I had no contact with any residents this past couple of weeks, so I wouldn't have any. Oh, we did have a public health and safety meeting. You know what I'd like to do with that public health and safety, Karen, is if we could get copies of the minutes from the public health and safety and distribute it to the board, so if they have any questions of me, they could probably, if that's possible, if you can get the minutes out, that way you guys have an opportunity to see what we talked about, and if you have any questions, we can maybe clarify it. Okay?
Good?
I'd just like to remind people that I got requested to inform someone if we had authorized the truck to be used in the parade. And I said, no, I hadn't heard of it. I didn't know if other people had, but I'm sure it would have been approved by everybody if the request had come through, but I want everybody to be reminded. They are supposed to request that from the town board. They are paid to manage the fire department. They do not own the equipment nor the fire department. So we need to get cooperation on that so we don't get these kind of questions. That's
He's
it.
not here, that's the one you gotta talk to about.
Pass it along.
He coming
He
back?
walked out.
Is that what's coming back, Ted?
I'll repeat it, no problem.
Bill?
I've got nothing.
All right, reports. On board, anybody got any reports from the town board? No? Okay. Sheriff's Department, he left. Fire Department. No, making an exit.
And he's gonna go scrape up Alex.
Clerk's report.
Alex's wife has an injury.
Can I?
She what?
She has an injury, so they're dealing with that. Alex's wife is hurt.
Is hurt?
So that's their,
Oh.
What Alex
Report?
Ed's got his hand up, you want
Maybe Merle can answer. They have on the fire report from May. There was a meeting since then where people were added to it. Do we know what the count is at this point?
What was the question?
the rest.
Total, you had 57 total members as of May. You had some hiring take place, I believe, in June.
We had a meeting 2 weeks ago, right?
How many people do you remember?
We brought 2 on,
So we're 59.
right?
You gotta come in soon.
And then
Kick
one
that up.
will be hired in September, right? When we started in school? That's when it was
Yeah.
approved for? Yeah.
Yeah.
So you'll be at the max at that point?
But someone will leave by then.
Wait a minute. Is this your report, Ed, or is this the Vernon Fire Department?
No, I
report?
asked if I could question
Well,
someone on
let's
this.
get the chief up here to make his report so everybody understands what's going on. I thought that was your report.
No, I asked. Can I ask a question of Merle? Because they were out, but now he's back.
You, brought up the parade thing.
Well, I couldn't follow you.
I speak very loud.
Go ahead, make your report, chief.
You can see the report there. Did they list, it was a typical